So I've been asleep for 12 hours, and rather than making a comment or a video on the comment that started this little thread, I thought I'd go ahead and respond to Miss, I don't know if it's Jenna or Gina, my apologies, but I like her. She, she's a good nurse. She tries things on herself. I appreciate that. Just saying. But to answer your question, why are so many nurses like this? Ugh, so horrible. The reason that so many nurses are lacking in compassion and in empathy and are guided by their personal bias to do or to carry out negligent acts against the patients that they are charged with. Quite simply, and this is my personal belief, and I'm not here to debate, because y'all are tired. You are tired, you are exhausted, you have no support. And the easiest group for you to carry your frustrations out on are the ones who have, in theory, less power than you. And unfortunately, that's your patient. And then once we get to your patient groups, well, discrimination, bias, neglect sort of gets dealt out unevenly, and it tends to fall upon the sickle cell patient group the most. And the reason for that is because for 100 years, you all have been allowed to participate in a culture of cruelty against our patient group specifically. And that is because our government, the government that backs you, the government that tells you you have to take I don't know how many hundreds of tests and pay however much money to be bonded with insurance, malpractice insurance, and, be protected by them. That government unfortunately allowed their scientists many, many years, many, many decades, many, many moons ago, to classify sickle cell as a hereditary black illness during a time that we were under federalized segregation. And I know a lot of you are going to say it's not about race. It's not about race, but honestly and truly, it is. It's about race. It's about discrimination. It's about bias. And it's about the fact that these things have been allowed towards this particular patient group for decades, long before you were even born or thought of. Me too. But I'm going to tell you like this. See, I'm old enough to remember when nurses held the line and set the bar for a standard of care and came back every single day and did their best to raise that bar. And the difference between those nurses and the ones that I have now is those nurses had support. They had secretaries. Those secretaries had assistants. They had people who just dealt with files. They had runners. They had candy stripers, or volunteers as we call them now, to answer the phones. And they had doctors who actually came in to work and dealt with their own patients. Girl, what? They did. They did. Yes, ma'am. And now you all don't. Now y'all are stuck with an army of hospitalists who, for the first time in medical history, I think, and are the only doctors that are actually like rewarded for not bonding with their patient, not retaining their patients as clients, not speaking and bonding to families, just not. Go on and fill in the blank of the not that hospitalists do. So when you have hospitalists that don't care about your patients, when you have hospitalists that don't give a fuck, that are just making changes in patient care plans, discharging patients that you knew can't walk yesterday, how the hell are they going to walk out the hospital today? And they're putting all of their entitlement and their position of power on you to carry out their horrible and unnecessary, biased, neglectful orders, then y'all end up caught in the middle. And it just becomes a really messed up cycle. But see, here's the thing. As nurses, you all have forgotten that your number one duty is to your patient. If you told us this doctor is fucking with me, do you know how many doctors I have rolled up on for messing with my nurse? Do you know how many doctors I have let know I will meet you in the parking lot, strapped with a saline bag and IV tubing? Don't mess with my nurse. And yet, instead of bonding and siding with your patient, instead of protecting the patient, you take out your frustrations and your anger, your lack of support, and your exhaustion out on us. And it's a really horrible, horrible thing. I don't know how it gets fixed. I really don't. But something tells me that it's going to, and it's going to very soon, and it's probably going to have to start with a whole bunch of people losing their job. And that sucks. Because as a lifelong patient, I have to keep hope that even the worst of nurses, even the worst of nurses, can find their light, can find the reason that led them down this path to begin with, and can actually turn themselves around and be a better person and a better nurse. But that's not going to happen as long as you all continue to take things out on your patients directly, indirectly, however you want to say and see them. It's not going to happen. That's all I got. I'm tired. I'm going back to bed. Y'all have a good night.